This excerpt was taken from a Full and Bloom interview with producer Tom Werman. More info at fullandbloom.com. Can you tell me a little bit about the Dokken Tooth and Nail story of why you didn't complete that record?
Yeah, George. All about George. You know, he's a great guitar player. We had I was working then with the engineer who did Shout at the Devil. Jesus, I can't even remember.
Geoff Workman.
Yeah, Geoff Workman. And he was a brilliant engineer and an alcoholic. And he was extremely divisive. And his habit was to get with the band, find the leader of the band, the guy who kind of was, you know, the driver of the band, the most influential, and talk shit about the producer. This is why he was actually available, because he had been working, I think, with Roy Baker, and Roy got rid of him. So I picked him up. And he would talk shit about the producer and say, I'm doing everything, meaning himself. And what he did on that record was he set up a microphone in the control room, recorded me, and then edited the conversation, bits, you know, many parts of many conversations to completely change the meaning of everything I said. And then he played it for George. And this was all going on without my knowing anything. And then George, we were doing a guitar solo one day, one night, whatever. And he was shredding and ripping and everything. And, you know, he had already done Tooth and Nail, the song. And it was a brilliant solo. I mean, really great. One of the great solos of guitar solos I've ever heard. And, it was a composition. But on this other song, he was just kind of, playing fast and not really, he didn't have any melody. He didn't have any progression. He wasn't taking you from point A to point B. And I said, George, you're playing great. I love the way you play, but I really think you should work on the composition, work on the, on the shape of the solo. So, and make it more like Tooth and Nail in terms of, melody and, make it a little more memorable instead of just noodling around on the neck of the guitar. And he got very angry and he threw his guitar down and he said, I don't know, he started swearing at me and I think Workman had told him that I was a fag and this and that, and he called me names, and it was really bad. And I said, George, you seem to be pretty angry. Would you like to come in here and hit me, maybe? And, he did not. And then we stopped the session then. I said, all right, we're going to quit for the night. And I went home and I said, I don't want to finish this album. I can't mend this rift. So I called Cliff Bernstein and the manager, and I said, listen, can you get somebody? I'd really, we had this disturbance in the studio, and I'd like it if you got somebody else finish the album and mix it. So we made a deal. I gave a point away, and Wagner did it, Michael Wagner. And that was it. I mean, everybody else in the band was great. George had issues. George, he was a very temperamental person. So.
Yeah, I think everybody's always assumed it was Don Dokken with the issues.
No, not at all. Don and George hated one another.
Right.
But Don was he was a good guy.
They even hated each other back then when you were working with them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Don wanted to do, love ballads, and George wanted to shred.
So how long are you on, total on that record? Are you there for a couple of months or a month? Or
I don't remember, but, we were close. We were close to finishing recording.
All you had on there was 1 point, or did you just give away just...
No, I had 4, I think.
Oh, so you still got points.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Very nice.
I get, I got paid appropriately.
Well, of course, yeah. I just wasn't sure. Some of the stuff out there made it seem like you were out very quick, so I didn't know if you were there long enough to kind of hang on to your points.
Yep.
It's pretty amazing that, as far as the ballads go, when you look back and you think of like the top ballads, I mean, you basically did them all. The Alone Again was huge for Dokken. Every Rose Has Its Thorn, of course, and then Home Sweet Home. But I would say those three songs sort of set the standard that everybody had to do a ballad during that era.
Yeah. I mean, that was really one of the easiest ways to get hard rock bands on AM radio, like Dream On. That was the prototype, Dream On. It was just a most wonderful, that was a ballad.
Oh, brilliant ballad.
But yeah, truly brilliant. And then there was we did Don't Close Your Eyes,
Kix,
and then I think Kix, did Kix have a ballad?
That was Kix. That was their ballad.
That was Kix. I did L.A. Guns.
Yeah, the Ballad of Jane. That's right. You did that one.
Right.
How hard was that Poison record to make? Open Up and Say Ah.
It was hard, but they were great. Each one of them. They were good hard workers, good people, and it was hard. Mainly, Cece was very difficult because he was going through a drug period. But, they worked hard. I recorded it digitally. It's the only album I ever did digitally because I knew there were going to be lots and lots of punch-ins and corrections, and it was much easier to do that digitally than analog. After we got through most of Cece's guitar breaks and fills, it was fine.
Anything stand out on Every Rose Has Its Thorn? Did you know that was going to be the mega hit?
Absolutely. Never dealt with, the only other song that was that obvious, Girls was obvious. Cat Scratch Fever was obvious, and Every Rose. He played it. We were rehearsing, and I brought my guitar to the rehearsal, and he said, I have a song I need to play for you. So I gave him my guitar, and he played it the whole song through, and I said, okay, that is a really good song. I'd love to do that, and I'd like you to play that very guitar, and I want you to play the rhythm guitar. So that's what happened, and it was a very simple kind of a country song, I thought, and then I orchestrated the shit out of it. I made it into this rather lush, kind of a power ballad. It's just how it developed, but it was the right thing to do for the song. Apparently, it was the only number one song I ever had.
Looking at the stats on that one, a lot of them, it seems like it'd be like, oh, they sold 1-2 million quickly, and then maybe like 5-10 years later they were certified triple or quadruple. But that one was certified by, it said like 91. It was certified 5 times platinum.
Yeah, it was a big one. Twisted Sister record has the strongest legs, even though they didn't have a huge hit like that. Actually sells better than the Poison record.
That's remarkable. You said that in the last interview, but we didn't discuss that. So I guess because they're still putting it in commercials and stuff like that?
Well, no, not just the commercials. Here's a band that really disappeared after that record. And they don't tour in this country. They just didn't do anything, and they didn't make any records after the one after mine. I can't remember the name. They had Leader of the Pack. I know Dieter Dierks did it, but I don't remember the name of it even. But the deal is that they are steady sellers. I really don't know why.
Remarkable. And would you say out of like all the records you've done, is that one of the top or the top that you probably still make residuals from?
Yeah, it's one of the top, absolutely.
What would you say are your top few?
That and probably Poison, and Motley is surprisingly modest, even with 3 records.